We have liquid fuel stoves like the MSR WhisperLite, which has probably been around for 20 plus 25 years. And then we also have canister stoves, which are sort of the up-and-comers in the backcountry cooking world. But I'm going to talk quickly about some of the differences. Dan's going to go into a few of the product ideas, and we're going to take it from there. The canister stove, canister fuel is not reusable. They are recyclable. Liquid fuel stoves, we go ahead and we use fuel bottles, and they are reusable and refillable. Are you a backcountry chef? Or are you just cooking water? So, you know, how long's your typical trip? And so, you know, if you're in that 2 to 3 day range and that's how long you're going for, there's a lot of benefits to going into some products like this. We're talking size, we're talking compactness, we're talking weight. If you're into those longer, more extended trips, the liquid fuel stoves offer quite a bit more benefit because, you know, generally in a fuel bottle like this, you know, you could get by for about a week with 2 people, especially if you're not at extreme altitude.
You know, what we have found is, you know, a lot of people have gone to the canister stove, you know, kind of for the reasons that, you know, Dave touched on, but also because it's as simple as you screw it on, you light it, and you're cooking. This is the Pocket Rocket. It's as easy as, we're done, we're cooking. It's as easy as it gets. And you know, the only disadvantage I find in any canister stove is what Dave touched on, and that is the fact that then you have an empty cylinder. Now, the thing is, our canisters for next year, they will have a gauge on them, so you will be able to tell how much fuel is left. And it's brand new. They're just coming to market, and what you'll have to do is float it in either a lake or in a pot, and by its buoyancy. It's not totally perfect. I mean, we can't tell you the ounces, but you'll know if it's half full or 3/4 empty type of thing. So this is a great stove for somebody that's looking to maybe buy their first stove. The reason being, one, is it's very affordable at $39 at retail. 2, like I said, you put it on, screw it on, light it, you're ready to cook. Has this integrated wind clip here, so when the wind is blowing, it does help sustain the flame, so it still does boil well. The stove itself is super lightweight. It's 3 ounces. Comes in this cool little case. Everybody always wants to know, oh, how much burn time is in a canister? Well, with the Pocket Rocket, out of a 4-ounce canister, you're going to get 30 minutes of actual burn time. Out of the larger 8-ounce canisters, you're going to get twice that. The other nice thing with the Pocket Rocket, you can boil a liter of water in 3.5 minutes. We wanted to show you the Reactor System because cooking systems, there's another company out there named Jetboil, does a really good job with integrated systems. We have the Reactor System, and it's a totally integrated system. And this thing is like a rocket ship as far as boiling water. In a minute and a half, I'll fire this one up, and in a minute and a half we'll have boiling water. But what it is it's actually a radiant burner. So let me light it up.
The Reactor comes in 3 different sizes. Retail price is about $150 to $180, depending on the different sizes. The Pocket Rocket, on the other hand, is $40. So that's why we were saying it's a good introductory stove. Oh yeah.
So I mean, this is unique, and it's in a league of its own as far as integrated systems go. Well, let's let this boil. But in a minute and a half, we're going to boil the water.
Do you have water in there?
There is water. There must be no melting pot. So it's totally integrated. This is the only system stove that'll actually boil when it's under true conditions of wind blowing, 12-mile-an-hour plus constant wind. This is the only system stove on the market that will actually work. This stove is designed for melting snow and boiling water, pretty much. You are definitely going to be in this category of cooking here. You're not doing anything gourmet. Maybe adding some stuff to your meals, but
the other thing to point out, because I know you guys do some winter trips and stuff like that, what a lot of folks are doing, especially when you're looking at it from a guide or a larger group perspective, is to have something like this for your snow and for your water to keep it going throughout your trip, and then to have a backup, whether it's a DragonFly or something else, as your actual cook stove, especially if you're in a bigger group. Having one stove to do all of that can be very, very, very difficult. So it's just something to keep in mind for any of you who do any winter trips or high elevation trips. That's another difference between the MSR Reactor and the jet boil products that you see on the market is elevation. Yeah, we're boiling right now.
So we're gonna be eating.
What you're going to get when you get colder is you get a slower draw, you start to lose pressure. Those are all issues both in cold temperatures and at altitude. So obviously by going up in altitude, you're starting to compound those pressure issues. What the MSR Reactor does, which is unique to all of the system stoves on the market, and we might be able to show it to you if we undo it and it cools off, there's actually a pressure regulator in the element of the stove. So kind of right in here where it's interacting with the canister, you have a pressure regulator. So the MSR Reactor is the only stove that will perform whether it's in cold temperatures and or at altitude. You'll still be able to drain all of that fuel out of your canister. And that's always a big complaint about canister users is if you're literally 10,000 feet, and we have those elevations both in the basin and throughout the Sierra Nevada, you can run into issues like that. We would still recommend, especially for any type of group work, I mean, liquid for sure in cold temperatures is what I would recommend, absolutely. If you're just into water or snow, the reactor will suffice in both a smaller, more compact, lighter weight package. But if you're cooking, if you're base camping for a week, things like that, you know, getting a stove like that is going to be better.
And along the same lines of that pressure regulator, you're going to get 80 minutes of burn time out of an 8-ounce canister with the reactor stove, where here you're getting 60 minutes of burn time out of the Pocket Rocket. So that tells you the efficiency is much better because of the whole system.
Very quickly on the liquid stoves, we brought a couple here to show you guys. This is the MSR WhisperLite that's been in the line for 25 years. This is the DragonFly. For a lot of why we wanted to bring the two of them here to show you guys is mostly from a cooking and temperature regulation standpoint to show you really, you know, it's at the retail level, this is always my job, is to say, well, this guy costs 80 bucks, this guy costs 100 bucks, you know, what's that $20 difference? Well, in this case, the $20 difference is pretty considerable for a group like you guys. What you'll see here is this significantly wider surface, so bigger pots can fit on the bigger stove, and then also the temperature regulation. So on the DragonFly, what Dan's able to do here, first he's priming it. So for those of you who've never had a liquid fuel stove, they must be primed. So what we've done is we actually dripped, literally we turned the gas on for a split second, dripped a little bit of fuel into, I can show you on the WhisperLite. See this cup at the bottom? Okay, so we dumped a little bit of fuel in there, we lit that first, and what we are actually doing is we're heating up this element right here. As we heat up that element, when we turn the actual gas on, which we'll do in probably a second, that's what's vaporizing the fuel, okay? So that's what's creating the flame to cook under. The DragonFly that Dan's messing with right here has probably the best temperature regulation, so high, low, simmer, boil, whatever you want to do, make bread, etc. If you're a chef or you're cooking for a group and you're in charge and you want to show off your skills, the DragonFly is by far going to be the stove of choice for somebody in that category. Okay, WhisperLite's great. Again, it's a bit of an introductory stove at this point, but your DragonFly at that $20, you know, jumping up just a bit is going to give you a lot of extra features that in a group setting are really going to make a difference, being able to cook more and faster. This is a 20-ounce bottle. This bottle exists in a 10-ounce size or a 30-ounce size. So this is the middle size bottle.
So you're going to get about 70 minutes of actual burn time out of 10 ounces of fuel.
So depending on what you're cooking.
So it's kind of comparable to an 8-ounce fuel canister.
If you're talking to people about international travel or, you know, just the versatility that they can get out of a single stove, the liquid fuel stoves, and specifically the DragonFly or the WhisperLite International or Universal, are what we call multi-fuel stoves. So if you are in a country, you know, These, incredibly difficult to find anywhere other than like Europe or popular backpacking spots. If you're down in Africa or Southeast Asia or some places where you're not gonna find these guys very prevalently, these liquid fuel stoves will run off of other fuels. Granted, they are dirtier and will have other ancillary effects on your product.
You have to clean them a lot more.
You have to clean them more. They'll break down and more residues, but they'll still work, and you can still always find fuel for them. So that's
the military uses a lot of the WhisperLite Internationals and the DragonFlies because they can run diesel fuel. Jet fuel,
diesel fuel,
and
kerosene,
but they have access to that right there.
And it'll run on white gas. I mean, we can all get cheap, clean white gas here.
White gas is the best. I mean, if you run white gas on a WhisperLite or DragonFly, other than the shaker jet technology of just literally shaking the stove, you probably will never have to do anything to this stove. I mean, there's people I meet, they're like, I've never even done that. And I've had it for 15 years. It's like, okay, great. Real quick on the DragonFly, what Dave said though, the flame control, I mean, you can get this down almost to the, you can get it down so low, and then also from a boiling standpoint, for boiling water, you can crank it up. And again, in just 3.5 minutes, we can boil a liter of water. But hey, we just want to keep something warm on the stove. You can really dial this thing down almost to, just a couple looks like a couple candles burning there. So it's the most versatile, and you put the largest pots on it. So from a group standpoint, which I think a lot of you guys are involved in, this is an amazing piece of gear.
There's probably 15 stoves in the line. These are the highlights for sure, and these are the ones that we can really show you the differences in the best, okay? So yeah, there's a million other options out there. Here's some very specific ones that we think kind of fit the mold here the best.